have to state before the court of world public opinion, and I'll say it right now, if there is an attack with weapons of mass destruction anywhere in the world under cover of terrorism, the prime suspect is not Hezbollah, not Al-Qaeda, not any of these groups. It is Cheney himself. His backers, his supporters, the people in his office like Addington, Wormser, and so forth, the Cheneyites, as we can call them. Now this turned out to be as intelligence. This was not bad intelligence, because 3 days after it was posted, we had the infamous Rogue B-52 incident. And you know what this is, I hope. Going from North Dakota to Louisiana, a B-52 intercontinental strategic bomber with 6 nuclear cruise missiles on board, violating an agreement with the Russian Federation, violating the Air Force's own regulations, and then it got to Louisiana and it came to a halt. On the 5th of September, it was announced that this had been a terrible mistake. 6 airmen, including 2 officers, are dead from the 2 airfields involved. A captain, a lieutenant, Airman Blue, who's a security man, and 2 or 3 others. Dead and no explanation. The U.S. Congress, with its craven Democratic majority, refuses to hold a hearing about this incident. One of the missiles is reported missing, and that may be the missile that Cheney decides to deliver, not to Tehran, but to St. Louis, or Portland, or someplace like this. And that's, of course, where the missile was attached. On October 16th, we had an actual launch of a U.S. Patriot anti-missile missile from Qatar, as you see in the Gulf. One of these Patriots, it's supposed to be ABM, an anti-ballistic missile. They don't work very well, but this was obviously a provocation vis-a-vis Iraq to see what they would do. Now, Putin, I have to tell you, I welcome the return of Russia, and I applaud the action of Putin to restore some kind of balance in world affairs. If there's a single force that is preventing the neocon fascist madmen from doing their dirty work, it is their fear of what this man represents. And he's pointed out there must be no attack on Iran. He has compared Bush to a madman running around with a razor blade. He actually said that for Thanksgiving. It was this guy Freddie, you know, in the Elm Street movies, the guy with the glove. And he has also said the current situation is like the Cuban Missile Crisis. If you put ABM missiles into Poland, that's the equivalent of the Cuban Missile Crisis. And just in that week that we showed you, October 16th, the Russians tested another Topol-M intercontinental ballistic missile, which is the most advanced ICBM anywhere in the world. And again, I hope the neocons know it, because that's the issue. Cheney represents a war psychosis. He represents a flight forward into escalation. He'd say, well, we're defeated conventionally in Afghanistan and Iraq. We must escalate to the nuclear level and deal with Iran with nuclear weapons. And this, of course, is then the slide into World War III, because you'll be killing Russians and Chinese in the reactors and in the oil fields if you do it. And now we have our dear little friend reminding us on October 17th, World War III. It is an act of incalculable folly. There was a big taboo about this. American presidents are not supposed to even talk about World War III, but that's all water under the bridge now. And this is what Kenny Bunkport Warning was attempting to remind people of. Now you can see he's actually invented something new, right? The old way was like this. He's introduced a new variation. He's very proud of himself for this. But World War III, and if there's one fact that you have to somehow assimilate and internalize, it is that we are on the brink of World War III. And my slogan for the evening, as always, is get active or get radioactive. And it's a very timely slogan. Find ways to become active. Because this is the alternative. And this, if you thought we left that behind with the Cold War, I'm afraid we didn't. And for those of us of my age, that is a terrible feeling. I lived through one Cuban Missile Crisis, and now I'm living through another one, and I don't like it. I want it to end. Bruegel's triumph of death. This is what the neocons represent. This is what they're bringing us. And right now it is Cheney-Bush combination with very few allies, maybe none, that are pushing forward on this path. So the question is tonight, who can stop World War III? Time magazine tells us, you can. You are person of the year. I don't come to regale you. I come to recruit you. When I give this talk in the US, I tell people, run for office. We need 469 Americans next November to run for every seat in the House of Representatives and every seat in the Senate that's open, minimum. And we need staffs and backers for all of them. If you can run for office in this country, if they still have elections, get into them. Otherwise, join the Radical Truth Campaign that I've been a guest of. Join the British 9/11 Truth Campaign. They're a wonderful group. We have a similar group in Ireland, and there are other people in Europe as well. So here's my thesis for tonight. If everything Cheney wants to do depends on a false flag going over, then if we can educate world public opinion so they don't believe in false flags, if they become sophisticated and not naive on this vital issue, then maybe we can stop World War III that way. Obviously, there are more things. The British government should immediately leave NATO. When Harry Truman said nuclear weapons back during the Korean War, Clement Attlee came over for a summit conference right away. This time, Bush says World War III, nothing. Gordon Brown say anything? Nothing that I've heard of. And this is the time when you really got to get out there and do something, or simply join, as I say, the activist group. Now, this is going to sound like conspiracy theory. Of course, we have all these inhibitions about conspiracy theory. Well, I have none. The short answer to conspiracy theory is, yeah, it used to be a theory, but it's not a theory anymore because it's been proven. But if you look at this list of worthies, right, pick the ones you like best. Edmund Burke, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, or the U.S. Declaration of Independence. All are conspiracy theorists. You can see this in my book. I give all the quotations in 9/11 Synthetic Terror Rated USA. Here we go. Declaration of Independence. Conspiracy buffs gather in Philadelphia. Because what does it say? It says, he has. George III. And it's all, he says, it doesn't matter what the ministers are, it doesn't matter who's doing it, it's the same plan from beginning to end. It's a conspiracy. So here we have the original conspiracy group of paranoids gathering. The most famous speech in American political history, at least, is the House Divided speech, which adumbrates a conspiracy theory. Naturally, as every good American must. I always ask myself, is what I'm doing okay with Lincoln? I think it is. I'll try to show you. This is the House Divided speech, and he says, look, we cannot tell it's pre-concert conspiracy, but when you have Stephen Douglas, Franklin Pierce, Roger Taney, and James Buchanan, Senator, President, Chief Justice, and President, and they're all working on the same project, well, I guess then there may be pre-concert or a conspiracy. In the day of Lincoln, the Mexican War had been started based on a kind of a 9/11 equivalent, a battle that he claimed had taken, the president had claimed took place in U.S. territory. And Lincoln always said, no, I want to know where it happened. I want to know the spot. Because he didn't believe it. He fought the 9/11 of his time. That's the point. And they ridiculed him as Spotty Lincoln. All right, so today we're conspirators and paranoids. There we go. You're in good company with a well-known conspiracy theorist and paranoid. He just happens to be, in my view, the greatest man of the 19th century. The whole Republican Party, by the way, is built on the slogan of a slave power conspiracy, which was done by Seward for the Republican campaign of 1860. So the party of the president in power was founded on the slave power conspiracy theory. Which brings us here to today, to Guy Fawkes. And of course, you recognize these famous pictures with all the memes and the myth. You can see the lantern